During the latter half of the 20th century, death has become a strangely popular subject. Before that time, perhaps rather surprisingly, it was a theme largely eschewed in serious scientific, and to a lesser extent, philosophical speculations. It was neglected in biological research and, being beyond the physician's ministrations, was deemed largely irrelevant by medical practice. In modern times, however, the study of death has become a central concern in all these disciplines and in many others. Death, the total cessation of life processes that eventually occurs in all living organisms. The state of human death has always been obscured by mystery and superstition, and its precise definition remains controversial, differing according to culture and legal systems. Death marks that moment in life when your physical body stops working to survive. You breathe your last breath. Your heart stops beating. Your brain stops. Other vital organs, including your kidneys and liver, stop. All your body systems powered by these organs shut down, too, so that they're no longer capable of carrying on the ongoing processes understood as, simply, living. Death itself is a process. Thinking of death in this way as a series of events, dying makes it easier to understand the changes your body goes through to transition from life to death. From your first breath to your last, your existence depends on processes your body sets into motion. Dying is the final essential process your body carries out for you. A death row inmate knows the time they are dying. In case they are in the same prison, there might be an instance they interact, laugh and deal with each other, but never in their mind will it occur that they will die on the same day. Jack H. Jones Jr. and Marcel Williams were executed the same night on the same execution gurney, in Arkansas on April 24, 2017. Jack H. Jones Jr. and Marcel Williams committed different crimes, came to death row Arkansas on different dates, but the two men were destined to die on the same day. Jack Harold Jones Jr., born on August 10, 1964 in Toledo, Ohio. Jones had attempted to kill himself on 2 occasions, and Jones has an antisocial personality and bipolar disorder. 6 months before the murder, Jones spent 6 days in a mental hospital, and had been involuntarily admitted to a psychiatric facility in 1991. On his first birthday, Jack Harold Jones Jr. suffered a high fever and convulsions, and was diagnosed with attention deficit disorder. Given Ritalin at about the age of 5, Jones began to hallucinate, probably caused by the Ritalin. Methylphenidate, sold under the brand names Ritalin and Concerta among others, is a central nervous system stimulant used medically to treat attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and, to a lesser extent, narcolepsy. Jones began to use illicit drugs at an early age, including marijuana. Jones' mother had a serious gambling problem, and his father is described as an alcoholic too. Lorraine Ann Barrett, age 32, was found murdered in room 824 at the Days Inn Lauderdale Surf Motel, 440 Sail Breeze Boulevard, in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at approximately 12:17 p.m. on June 1, 1991. Barrett had just checked into the motel the night before and was in town for several days on vacation from western Pennsylvania. Forensic detectives processed the room and collected evidence from the room as well as from the victim. Homicide detectives began their investigation and found that Barrett had been seen at the Elbow Room bar the same night that she had checked into the Days Inn. Witnesses recall seeing Barrett with a white male at the bar, and later recall seeing the victim Barrett with the same white male entering an elevator at the Days Inn. The Broward County Medical Examiner's Office ruled the death a homicide by asphyxiation. A composite sketch of the suspect along with descriptions of the suspect's tattoos was compiled and distributed, however no arrests were made. In 2002, Detective John Curcio reopened the cold case and began reviewing the investigation. Knowing the great advancements that DNA technology had made over the past 11 years, the evidence recovered at the scene in 1991 was submitted by Detective Curcio to the Broward Sheriff's Office and for the labs to be typed and profiled. This information was then sent to NDIS to be posted with a request for individual states to search their databases for a possible match. During the week of March 14, 2003, Detective Curcio learned the suspect DNA recovered in 1991 matched that of an inmate on death row in the state of Arkansas. The DNA match was tested and reconfirmed by investigators of the state crime lab in Arkansas. Jones at the time of his arrest had multiple tattoos described by witnesses in the 1991 murder of Barrett, and matched the over-physical description of the suspect. In the Arkansas case, on the afternoon of June 6, 1995, 17-year-old Darla Phillips dropped her 11-year-old sister Lacey off at Automated Tax and Accounting Service in Bald Knob, where their mother, 34-year-old Mary Phillips, worked as a bookkeeper. Mary was planning to take her daughter to a 3 p.m. dentist appointment. Darla and her 15-year-old brother Jesse were expecting their mother and little sister to return to their home in Bradford around 4:30 p.m. or 5 p.m. They never arrived. A black-haired male entered the business before Lacey and her mother could leave for the dentist's office. According to Lacey's testimony at trial, the man had a teardrop tattoo on his face and more tattoos on his arm. The man had come into the business earlier that day to borrow some books. When he returned, he complained that he had been given the wrong book. He then told Lacey and her mother that he was sorry, but that he was going to have to rob. He ordered Mary to lay down on her stomach, and then made Lacey lay down on top of her mother. After retrieving the cash out of the register, he took them into a small break room. The man took Lacey into a bathroom off of the break room, tied her to a chair, then left. When he returned, Lacey, now crying, asked the man not to hurt her mother, to which he replied, "I'm not. I'm going to hurt you." He began to choke Lacey until she passed out. After Lacey lost consciousness, Jones struck her at least 8 times in the head with the barrel of a BB gun, causing severe lacerations and multiple skull fractures with bone fragments penetrating into Lacey's brain. When Lacey woke up, she saw blood and began to vomit. She went back to sleep and awakened later when police, seeing her bloodied body and thinking she was dead, were taking photographs of her. Police found Mary's body nude from the waist down. A cord from a nearby Mr. Coffee pot was wrapped around her neck and wire was tied around her hands, which were positioned behind her back. Bruises on her arms and back indicated that she had struggled with her attacker prior to her death. According to autopsy results, Mary died from strangulation and blunt force head injuries. Rectal swabs indicated that she had been anally raped before she was killed. Based on Lacey's description of the assailant, an officer from the Arkansas State Police went to Jones's residence and asked him if he would accompany him to the White County Sheriff's Office. Once there, Jones was read his Miranda rights and signed a waiver of rights form. He admitted that he had committed the crimes because he wanted to get revenge against the police. He reasoned that his wife had been raped, and that the police had done nothing about it. The jury took only 30 minutes to return a guilty verdict, and the defense case included only a single witness, a professor of pharmacology who only testified about the effect on the brain of methamphetamine abuse and gave no information about Jones' drug use just before the murder. Jack Jones Jr., was convicted on April 17, 1996, of the brutal murder and rape of Mary Phillips, 34, and trying to kill her 11-year-old daughter, Lacey Phillips. On April 24, 2017, Jones was executed at the Cummins unit, along with fellow rapist-murderer Marcel Williams, marking the first double execution in the country in 17 years. Shortly before his execution, he gave his sister a letter he had penned in 2006, with instructions to open it a year after his execution date. In the letter, he confessed in detail to the murder of Regina Harrison, providing details only the killer would know. This revelation led to his body being exhumed and his DNA tested, and in February 2019, the Broward County Attorney's Office officially announced that Jones was the real killer, not Ronald Stewart. Jones' last meal consisted of fried chicken, potato logs with tartar sauce, beef jerky bites, 3 candy bars, a chocolate milkshake, and fruit punch. Early one morning in 1994, 22-year-old Stacey Erickson was abducted by Marcel Williams from a gas station in Jacksonville, Ark, near Little Rock. Marcel Wayne Williams was born on August 20, 1970, in North Little Rock. As a child and into his teenage years, Marcel Wayne Williams was pimped out by his mother in exchange for food and lodging. She also beat him with extension cords she had boiled. He was gang raped while serving time in an adult prison. Williams never knew his father. As a child, Williams committed thefts and he was sent to the Pine Bluff Training School, a correctional facility for juveniles. Marcel Wayne Williams forced Stacey Erickson to withdraw money from multiple ATM machines. 9 days later, he was arrested on an outstanding warrant for a separate crime, and he confessed to the kidnapping, but said Erickson was still alive. Her body was later found buried in a shallow grave. He was sentenced to death in 1997. On appeal, Williams's defenders found that his trial lawyers had failed to discover that their client had suffered from abuse throughout his life. Marcel Williams is a convicted murderer who was executed for the crime after spending 20 years on death row. On the 24th of April 2017, 2 hours after the execution of Jack Harold Jones Jr., Marcel Wayne Williams was also executed, on the same execution gurney. He was 46 years of age and executed for the murder of 22-year-old Stacey Ray Erickson. His last meal was fried chicken and nachos and potato logs with ketchup, which was washed down with 2 sodas. A banana pudding was also enjoyed. But he took a while to die. During the Monday, April 24, 2017, the execution, witnesses saw him breathing heavily and arching his back for several minutes. The midazolam was administered at 10:16 p.m. and Williams was pronounced dead at 10:33 p.m. He had no last words. He was buried at Arkansas Memorial Gardens Cemetery, North Little Rock, Pulaski County, Arkansas. Marcel Wayne Williams was the 1,451st person executed in the United States since 1976, the 30th person executed in Arkansas, and the 1,276th person executed by lethal injection. Thank you for watching Death Row.